You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. It's so great to have you here today on this Mindset and Motivation Monday, where we are going to be talking about a serious issue with how people are going about trying to achieve their goals. And the reason why I love doing this Mindset and Motivation Mondays is because our lives are not static. Not yours, not mine. Some days are better than others. I mean, that's the truth, right? But every day can be exponentially better if you're following a formula that's going to move you towards your success. So even those days that might feel not so great, and again, we all have them, myself included, you know that you are working towards something. You know that every day is not going to necessarily be a 10, but you can live a life that you love. And that's what I want to share with you today. Now, I do a lot of self-improvement myself. I always work on self-awareness. I'm always working on how I'm feeling, my reactions to things. And I'm not perfect. I don't think that I ever will be perfect. That's probably not something that I'm ever going to shoot for. But what I try to do, though, is live a life of purpose, live a life of happiness, live a life of balance. And that's what I wish for all of you. Now, with that, I have my own goals that I'm trying to achieve. You know, I look at those big 5 areas that I always talk about, and I think kind of everything can fit into those areas. I look at the first one in no particular order as my health, but I know if I don't have my health, I can't really work on these other 4 areas. It's why I was so depressed and so anxious and so overwhelmed for a decade of my life, because I didn't think that I would ever get better. I really didn't. And here's the thing, without that, then I couldn't really work on my career. I couldn't really work on having the body that I wanted in terms of transforming my body to be something healthy and in shape. And I couldn't have the best relationships. And my spirituality was lacking. It really was. Why? Well, I was in pain all the time. I was tired. I had brain fog. You know, I was blaming everybody. I was blaming everything because I was in a bad spot. And so when people come to my office and they're upset or whatever, I understand. I get it. Listen, you're miserable. You're not happy. It's because you're not where you want to be in life. But here's the thing. We need to move in that direction. We can't stay stagnant. We can't stay static. So what I want to do with you today is share with you a formula that I've used throughout my entire life, and I continue to use it today. And that's because I have new goals. Oh, well, I've talked about it on the house calls. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow on my show. And I just give you insights into kind of how I look at my own world. And I know that what I'm doing today, well, I'm going to build off of that in the future. And I'm always looking at that in terms of my family. I always realize that I only have so much time with my kids, my 2 young girls. And they're just celebrating birthdays over these 3 months, essentially. And I know how quickly that time will go by. And then I look at myself now and I look at my parents and I say, okay, we still have a great relationship, but, we don't get to see each other every day, right? That's not how it works. Again, I'm someone that's a big family person. I really am. I don't always share that on the podcast, but I'm big on family. Love family, love having everyone around. I love seeing my girls play with their cousins, with their friends. I love all of that. I love community, right? Because I have this balance. My balance is basically being a nerd and reading research all day and reading books all day. And I'm in my office and all I'm doing is studying and all of this other type of stuff and doing my podcasts, which are solo. And then I have the other half of me that likes to just unwind with, walk around barefoot in Maine and have fun with my family, right? Like that's what it's all about. And I feel like I have a good balance, but I'm always still working on new things. How can I better my best? And right now, no matter where you're at right now, I want you to better your best. I was the lowest of the low, right? Someone with Addison's disease and rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune-based issues, terrible allergies, POTS. I had myalgic encephalomyelitis, you name it, right? Blood sugar dysregularities with type 2 diabetes, if I didn't say that. My body was a mess. It was completely shutting down on me. It just did not function properly. It was highs and lows, and I was all over the place. And I would start to get better, and then I would relapse. And it was a miserable, miserable existence. It really was. But what do I have now because of it? And this is why I want you to make it out to the other side. What do I have right now? Massive amounts of gratitude, massive amounts of perspective. And I've shared that with you before. I did a whole podcast on it. Gratitude and perspective. Would I have had gratitude and perspective now today, 20 plus years later? I would not. I would not. So that's why if you're stuck sometimes, if you're going through hard times, you'll make it through. I'm going to do my best to help give you those formulas to do that. Don't give up. Because then when you look back, no matter what's going on in your life, you're like, yeah, but look what I have now. Overall, it's so great. And so you can give thanks. You can be happy with that. And the perspective is that I could also be back there. Or, again, like I was bad. I mean, I was real bad. But there were still people that have it worse. And I can look at that too and not feel bad about them and look down upon them. That's never what it's about. But you just say, like, things can be worse. I'm good. Life is good. And you can start to look at it in that perspective. So what I want to do now is share with you a formula that I've been using for a long, long time. And, I'm not the only one to give you these types of insights. You have to keep in mind that the way to transform your life has really been around for thousands of years. I always talk about Ayurvedic medicine, right? But this goes beyond. This is how humans essentially have always worked. Great teachers like Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar have talked about it. Les Brown has talked about it. Those are some of my favorites. Tony Robbins has shared a quote that I'm going to talk a little bit about today. Complexity is the enemy of execution, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about how I use that in my own formula as well as we get to the second part. But let's get right into it. The first is this. It's going to be near impossible for you to make change in your life. Or if you do make change, it's going to be very hard to get it to stick without you relapsing, without changing your personal story. I have this be, do, get formula, right? Well, the first part is be. Be is a lot of people overlook this. If you want to be healthy, you actually need to change your story about who you are right now. I was, for the longest time, the unhealthy kid. I was the unhealthy person. I was the one who was sick all the time. And people began to know me as that. And I hated it. I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be the strong person. I wanted to be the person that, people could look up to and be like, hey, that's a role model. And I was not that person. I was weak. My body was weak. My immune system was weak. I had no energy, no cortisol. Everything was weak. I didn't want that, but that was my story. I had to change my story. I had to be someone different. So you have to understand this. You have to begin to believe in you. If you don't believe in you, then it's so important that you then work with a coach or mentor that you believe that they can help you. But eventually, you have to be the one to take on that personal power. It can't be your coach because your power cannot live outside of you. Now, in the beginning, you can allow that mentor or coach or doctor, whatever you want it to be, to give you some of their power. Like a personal trainer, great personal trainer can give you some of their power that will enable you to have the confidence that this program is going to work. But eventually, you need to believe in you or you're simply going to relapse. And you have to feel that you deserve the end result that you want. This is so crucial, so I want to repeat that. You have to feel you are deserving of the end result that you want. If you don't feel like you deserve your dream, you're not going to get it. Because there is this cognitive dissonance, as we say, in psychology, and from a energetic perspective, there's a difference in the vibration. The thing you want is operating, and this is quantum physics. This is real science. The thing that you want has its own certain vibration. If you want to become entangled with that thing, you need to then vibrate at that same frequency. So if you feel weak and you want to be strong, the two do not mesh. You will attract the same types of vibrating particles that are also weak. Not a good thing. If you begin in your mind first to believe you are strong in whatever you want, relationships and in your body and your health and your spirituality, even though you're not yet, but you know that that's where you want to step into. That will begin to change you at a cellular level. Remember, this tissue that we see in this 3D world is just a conglomeration of particles. The coming together of particles. But if we start to go deeper and deeper and deeper, what we found was there's these atoms and these quarks, and they're basically moving in space, and there was this empty space that we saw between them. Well, now we know that we have this unified field. And this is actual science now. It's just not caught up to the common vernacular that we all hear about in the media. But it is that space that unifies us with other types of frequencies and vibrations. This is important. I'm going to go beyond this. I'm going to make it a little less metaphysical in just a second. But so here's the thing. You need to believe in you. You need to feel you deserve it, which you do. And then also, you can't feel guilty over getting it. For the longest time, I used to feel guilty about being healthy because there were other people around me and family and all that they weren't healthy. So it's like, well, why should I be healthy if they're not, right? Or, in career, it's like, okay, well, why should I do so well in my career when other people aren't? Or maybe they'll feel, badly that I'm doing well. And so you have to really be careful over that. Guilt is a form of then fear of success. And if you have a fear of success, you'll also be held back. Now, that success can come in health and it can come in relationships. Well, what if my relationship goes well? I've never been in a relationship that goes well. What happens then, right? So then you start to get worried about that. Really, really important to look at that. So be careful that you don't have that fear, that guilt. And also, you don't want to believe that in order to get the thing that you want, let's just talk about it in terms of your career, that you believe that there needs to be this great sacrifice to get there, that you need to pay this severe price. That holds so many people back, or they get what they believe. So yeah, they feel like, okay, I want to be successful in my career. I believe that's going to take 80 hours a week. Nothing should take you 80 hours a week, okay? You don't have to sacrifice your health or your relationships in order to be successful in your career. That is not a prerequisite. If that's a thought of yours, remove that thought. Rewire your brain chemistry in order to believe that, yes, you're going to work, right? You're going to work, but that you're going to do a great job for a great end result. And that you're not going to sacrifice in certain areas in order to get the other. So the first part of the B is that you need to change your story. Right now, I can tell you this. If you don't have your end result, it's this. I mean, this is the honest truth. If you don't have your end result yet, the story is not correct. At a subconscious level, you don't believe in you. You don't believe you can do it. You don't believe that you deserve it. You might feel guilty over it or shame if you get it. Or you believe that you have to pay this severe price and you're not willing to do it, or you're sacrificing too much. Look at that. Be honest with yourself. Be honest. Self-awareness is so important. You don't need to figure this out in a day, but I need you to begin to take some quiet time to yourself through meditation, using binaural beats, taking a walk, getting out in nature, talking with a coach, etc. I need you to begin to figure out what your story is. Now, your story is not hard to figure out. It's where you're at right now in life, for better or for worse. And if you're not in the place that you want to be, don't get upset. Just say, oh, I get it. This is my story right now. Great. Well, I can change my story. I'm not a static human being. I have all of this opportunity around me. It might not happen tomorrow, but I can begin to implement a plan. And this is where the do comes in, okay? As a physical manifestation of energy, which our bodies are, we can create what we want in life, but typically that's going to come through some type of action. So now we're taking the action, and this is your plan. Now, this is where it comes in, though. And I do love the Tony Robbins quote. I really do. And I think Tony's a great guy. Complexity is the enemy of execution. How many people do you know out there right now? How many people do you know that are following a haphazard plan that it's like, oh, well, I do this day and I do that day. And sometimes I'm doing this and I mix it with a little bit of that. And then, if I have time, I do this. That's not a plan. That's not a plan. Or it's like I used to be, where I was using 30 different supplements because I would read something and I'm like, oh, I should take that supplement to help get well. Or this doctor gave me these supplements. Yeah, I'm going to use those ones, but I'm also going to use these because I read about those. And then I'm seeing this other practitioner, and they recommended that I should probably do these too. I was legitimately taking over 30 different supplements for a long period of time. I used to write with marker on the top of every cap when I should be taking them. And on my counter, it was this just ridiculous mess of bottles. That was my plan. That is neither sustainable, nor is it going to work. Because when I started to feel better, I'm like, well, which one of these was helping? I have no idea. It's also, though, how I created the supplement box and the supplement labels that we use today in my practice. And all of our integrative health practitioners now pass that on to their clients. So I had created the supplement box with 12 individual little inserts in it. I mean, the boxes are what they are. They're just a simple box. But what I did is I had to take this absolutely complex system of supplements and put it into something that could be replicable. So I'd fit them in these 12 little slots. That's it. And now I'd open the box and I would take my upon waking supplements, and then I'd take the breakfast and lunch and then the dinner. And they would all be labeled as to what they were. So I didn't have to uncap 30 different bottles because it was absurd, right? So what I did was I looked at, I can now pour them into these slots and I can just take out one at a time. It was simple. It was replicable. Then where I am today is I never take more than 12 at a time because only 12 fit in this box. And I don't need to take more than 12. Typically, I'm not taking 12, but I have a simplified plan right now. I take this at this time, and here's why. Because let's just talk about nutritional supplements. Your nutritional supplements should be mindless. You should just take them and not think another thing about them. You only have so much bandwidth. You only have so much brain space and willpower. Things have to be easy in order for them to be replicable. And replicable is the main word and keyword I want you to take away right now. Replicable. Is what you are doing right now replicable? Could you easily teach it to someone else in 90 seconds? If it takes you 5 to 10 minutes to explain it, it's not replicable, and most likely you're not going to be able to maintain it, which is the second keyword for the rest of your life. If you found a plan to lose weight, but it was all over the place, and you don't truly know how you were doing it, or you were starving yourself, or you were totally eliminated one macro group, sure, you might get the short-term results. Can you maintain that the rest of your life? Or you're not going to be able to maintain it. So then you gain the weight back, and then you go back to that plan, and you yo-yo up and down, up and down. We see that all the time for people coming into our practice. We don't want that for them. That's no way to live. So what I need you to do is find that system. I love systems because systems simplify life. Systems simplify life. Whatever you're doing right now, create a system. I talk about creating your ideal schedule. You can fit everything into those 168 hours per week, right? You can fit everything into your 12 hours a day, or really more like 16 hours a day, because hopefully you're in bed for 8 of those. So in 16 hours a day, let's say you have 8 hours for work. I talk about this in a previous podcast, so I'll let you go back and tune to that, right? And even if you have 2 hours for commute and all that, well, 10 hours. What are you doing with the other 6 hours, right? So a lot of us have more time than we think. We do seem busy, right? Everybody's busy. Nobody's idle, really. But what are we doing? What's our system? Can you fit in a workout in that 6 hours? I think you can, right? Can you get your good nutrition in that time, pre-planning? I think that you can. I think that there's a lot more that you can do, and I don't want to make your life any more difficult than it needs to be. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to create the system. I want you to pre-plan your meals. I want you to pre-plan when the workout's going to be. And I'm talking about no more than 20 minutes, 30 minutes for your workout. Easy, right? What about pre-planning your meals? Well, if you're out like I am for lunch, I know the to-go places right around me that have healthy food. It's already been mapped out. I know where I'm going to go for lunch. I know what I'm going to get. I get the same thing pretty much every day, right? What about breakfast? If you listen to the podcast about the healthiest breakfast that you can do, you know why I recommend it. One is it costs very little money. Number two, it's always ready for me right there with a smoothie. And number three, it's simple. It's so simple. I don't have to cook a gourmet meal. I don't need to clean up afterwards. That breakfast is completed in less than 5 minutes. And for the people that say, I don't have an extra 5 minutes in the morning, you need to just wake up 5 minutes earlier. That's it. I mean, that's the easiest truth. So you can create a system for yourself. I'm telling you right now, the best systems in the world are often created out of desperation and simply a need. And I know that you're going to be able to find that for yourself right now. So if your diet plan, your exercise plan, your relationship plan, your career plan, if it's not simple, if it's not able to be replicated or not able to be maintained, think about how you're going to create a system that you can take specific action every day in order to reach your goals, but have it be able to be replicable and maintainable. All right, think about that. The last part is this, and it's the best part. You've stepped into the story, right? We need to talk about that right now. You started with the B. B is you actually have to believe, right? Think of it that way. B for believe. You need to believe. And if you believe and you keep telling yourself that over and over, you will start to take the actions that you need to become the person that you want to be, that you believed you would be. And that is the get. This is when you fully allow yourself to step into the success you deserve. It's the giving of gratitude every small step you see that you take. Because remember, no one typically just jumps into their dream in a heartbeat. But if you begin to appreciate and recognize the small steps forward, right? The little steps forward that you're taking. Oh, your goal is to lose 50 pounds. Well, you lost 1.5 pounds this week. You are moving towards your goal. Oh, by the next week, you've lost 2.5 pounds. You are moving. Give gratitude. No, you're not 50 pounds down, but you see yourself literally stepping into that success. So what if it takes a couple months? Big deal. You don't have it now. And if you don't follow the plan, you'll never have it. So begin to feel that gratitude, right? You're moving forward. And you're beginning to now live the story you only once dreamed about. So think about how amazing that is, that you're actually now living the dream. Don't wait till you get the goal. Feel like you're living the dream now. It will only happen faster for you, and you'll be motivated to do more of the work. You'll actually get up excited. You see your dreams becoming a reality. You understand that you're doing the work. You're doing the work to lose the weight. You're doing the work to have a great relationship. You're doing the work to move forward in your career. Same for your spirituality. You're studying. You're being self-aware. You're trying to treat people in the proper way. And now, hopefully, you're beginning to feel that increased sense, that increased feeling of deserving, that you do deserve this. One is that you believe, why not you? Why not you? Why other people? Do they have some different birthright than you? No. You deserve it as well, but now you're doing the work, right? You're doing the doing. And because you're doing the doing, you are more deserving. You're putting forward the work. You do deserve it. And hopefully now you're realizing this. You no longer have to have any guilt because you realize that your success does not hold anyone else back from getting theirs. If anything, you can now share your success with them, other people, as a role model of how to do it with a message now of hope and perseverance. That's what I try to do to this day. I want more success in my life, as much success as I can get, not for the sense of having success, for the sense of here's where I came from. If I can do it, you can do it. There's no doubt about that. I didn't come from anything that says, oh, you should be here today. I am living proof, and I'm not even the best living proof. I'm one specific person, that's it. I don't have to be a role model for anyone else. But what I'm trying to do is live my best life, but also try to provide my message. Here's how I did it. It's not the only way, but I know that it works. And that if you begin to step into it, you'll begin to make it yours. That you'll use this specific system that I've learned, that I'm now paying it forward and passing on to others. You'll learn it. You'll live it, which is even more important. And then you'll enjoy the success. And by that alone, people will say, I want some of what that person has. And you'll be able to say, here's how I did it. I would love to be able to share my story of success with you. Remember, successful people will be more successful if they help lift other people up. That's what it's all about. You want to pay it forward. You don't want to hold on to your success. You want to share it with as many people as possible. What I've learned over the years is this. There is no scarcity. Scarcity is what holds us back. Share your message. Everybody can be a part of it. Abundance does not have to stop with just you, with one specific person. Just because you see someone else with it doesn't mean that they shouldn't have it either. You should all have it. You want to pass it along to others. This is the life that I know you were meant to live. And I have no doubt in my mind that you can and will accomplish this when you step into your own personal power. You have this. You can do this, and I can't wait to hear your success story soon. Take care, everyone. If this message was helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anyone else you believe it could serve. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.